and welcome to Thursday. It's the 8th of April and it's Andrew here on my own this morning. Elaine is on the afternoon show in for Brendan Fuller later on today, so hence why she's not up at the crack of dawn this morning. Now, weather-wise today, it's already a bit drizzly in places this morning. That'll clear in the next couple of hours and it'll kind of dry up slightly, but then into the afternoon we're going to see further showers and a couple of heavier spells in places, mixed with a small bit of sunshine might break through at times, but generally it's going to be grey and wet in the afternoon today. Top temperatures of 9 or 10 degrees. Good morning. As you can see from the tired head in me, I'm not long out of bed. Let's have a look at the papers that you're waking up to this morning, as per usual. We'll have a look at the Examiner first. And on the front page there, as you can see, a picture of Corbett children prepared to give evidence in Martin's trial. Molly Martins and her father were yesterday released from prison on bail. They had been convicted of murdering Limerick man Jason Corbett. Father and daughter granted bail in North Carolina, and the state to seek retrial for the murder of the Limerick man is the main story on the front page of the Examiner there. And if you look there to the top right hand corner of the Examiner's front page, this is kind of huge if it happens. Hairdressers set to reopen at the start of May. Shops and hairdressers to reopen for fully vaccinated people at the start of May. So people who've had their first and second dose will be able to go into certain shops and go and get their hair done. The government is set to reopen the shops and hairdressers from the first week in May, but it may initially limit the access just to fully vaccinated people for the time being anyway. The reopening of non-essential retail and other services will be done on a phased basis and could form part of a so-called vaccine bonus, according to sources within the government. I'd be okay with that. I mean, some will see it as totally unfair and ridiculous and, I can't do it. Like, I understand that. I mean, look at me. I've got a haircut last weekend and it's a chop job. But, you know, it did the job. Home haircuts. But I have to say, if somebody does have their first and second jab and they're now fully protected or fully vaccinated, then why not go and get their hair done? Also on the front page there, FAI looking to future as Euro games set to be lost. Yeah, we'll come back to that in a second actually. More on the UEFA Euro 2020 or the rescheduled games in the Examiner there. But in the Independent this morning, directors of Mater Hospital were offered COVID vaccine delivered for workers. This is going to rumble on, lads. More and more is coming out about people who have been given the vaccine who shouldn't have been, or at least weren't priority. There's more and more coming out about this. The former ICTU boss, David Begg, among recipients of the vaccination, all board members of one of the country's main public hospitals, were offered the COVID-19 vaccine that were delivered for frontline healthcare staff. And more turmoil within the GAA as Monaghan were seen training despite COVID ban. Now, I haven't seen this yet, but the Justice Minister, Helen McEntee, has passed video footage allegedly showing Monaghan GAA players breaching COVID rules to Ungarda Síochána and Croke Park, according to the Irish Independent. So there was a lot of uproar over the Dubs last week and their training, and now there's allegations that Monaghan were doing it as well. We did all say it last week, though. I think everybody in the country knew that Dublin GAA were caught, but they certainly weren't the only team training. 100%. That it's just the way it is. So it's wrong, but it's the way it is. That's in the Irish Independent anyway this morning. And a couple of the other sports bits which I might want to bring to your attention. The Daily Mail sports section today. The game was up and FAI had no other choice. So yesterday you probably heard us talking about this on the radio. The deadline to basically inform UEFA as to whether or not you'd be able to host fans in the various stadia, the 12 host cities for the Euro 2020 games finals. Yesterday was the day, and obviously in Ireland the Aviva was on offer from Dublin. We were going to have at least 3 games. Well, unfortunately, because of the COVID numbers and because obviously there's no crowds going anywhere, you can't. You couldn't give a guarantee that they were going to be able to let crowds in. I think you had to have something like 25% capacity. So roughly 10,000 fans-ish had to be allowed into the Aviva for this to work. But unfortunately, it just wasn't to be. So we're going to lose out on hosting the Euros. Now, in fairness to England and the FA there, they've said that Wembley will be able to host, I think, 25,000 for the semi-finals. And they're hoping upwards of 45,000 for the final, because Wembley was going to be hosting that anyway. So I would assume that any city like Ireland and like Dublin who couldn't commit to putting fans into the stadia, I assume that those games will now have to be rescheduled to somewhere else. Excuse me. I mean, in fairness, England has all the infrastructure ready. I mean, just take the Premier League teams alone. Most of their stadia are absolutely fine for hosting something like this. So that's probably what will happen. The whole thing might end up being shifted to maybe England, Scotland, Wales. But we'll have to wait and see. There's no confirmation on that. I mean, other cities are also beginning to open up. So as the vaccine rollout happens. And then the other big sports story I wanted to show you today is about Kerry's Ciara Griffin earning her keys to the kingdom. Lovely piece about the Ireland captain and the Ballymac girl on the in the Daily Mail sports section there this morning. It's a good read actually. Ireland's captain is ready to lead the line against Wales in the Six Nations. That's in the Daily Mail there as well this morning. Right, let's who's up with us before we go do the trends. Let's see who's up and about with us. Good morning to you, Anthony. Morning. Thanks very much for getting in touch this morning. Morning, buddy. How you, Mick? How you getting on? Morning to Joan there as well. Anya's up and about with us. Good morning to you. Morning, Chris. How you getting on? Carmel is up with us. Another Joan. Freddie is up with us as well. Big shout out to Sean as well. Morning to Sean. Thanks for getting in touch. Why are they giving bonuses and not giving people the vaccine? Well, you see, they're giving people vaccine bonuses who've been vaccinated. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, if you have the first and second dose, I think that's what they mean by that. And morning to you as well, Trish. Thanks for getting in touch with us this morning, all right? The top trends we're waking up to so far today. Belfast is trending, lads. And funnily enough, it's not in a whole pile of the front papers, actually, what went on in Belfast last night. More violence, including a petrol bomb and photographs of a burnt-down bus. A petrol bomb on that bus. Or thrown at it, and it's actually frightening to see not only the video scenes of the whole thing, but the actual remains of the bus after it burnt out. Derek Tachta is also trending. That was on TG Cahir last night. Sheila Shoiga presented a programme, and it's getting a lot of love, and rightly so. It was basically about shining a light on those who've gone through miscarriage in Ireland. It was just really well done. I only saw about 15 minutes or so of it, but the bits I saw, it was compassionate. It was, you just felt like you weren't alone. Now, I have to say, I've never gone through the whole miscarriage. You know, we haven't gone through that in our lives, but some of the people on it last night spoke really well, I felt, and some lovely tweets about it this morning. Kylian Mbappe, the PSG player, is also trending this morning. He scored twice for PSG against Bayern Munich in what was an absolute cracker by all accounts. Didn't see it last night, but apparently it was a brilliant game. 3-2 PSG won away from home against the champions Bayern Munich. And Eating with the Enemy, the final episode was on last night. Something to do with was there a vegan on it last night? And I think a farmer. I didn't see the whole thing. I'm just kind of going on what people's tweets were. But the overall feeling anyway, people loved Eating with the Enemy and the idea of it. You know, two people with opposing opinions on whatever the topic is. You know, like gay marriage or you know, politics or whatever, religion, stuff that's kind of quite divisive anyway. But yeah, overall people loved the program, and it more than likely will. In fact, I will be shocked if it doesn't get a second season after the success of it. So that finished up as well last night. Now, some entertaining bits for you this morning. Andrew Scott, aka Hot Priest from Fleabag, which, by the way, I've still never seen. I've never seen an episode of Fleabag. It's just, I don't know. It's probably brilliant, I'm sure it is, but it's just something that just never really appeared on my radar, if that makes sense. But anyway, excuse me, Andrew Scott's in that. He's also Moriarty in Sherlock, and he's in the last James Bond movie as well. He has been approached, apparently, to play Tony Blair, the former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, in the latest series of The Crown. Now, they're not filming yet. I think it's being put together at the moment. But if that happens, then obviously it'll be, I suppose, late 90s, early 90s. So that'll be kind of cool. More Irish connections there. And I want to ask you a question this morning that we're going to take onto the radio as well, right? Have you got one of those drawers at home in your house? And inside that drawer is batteries, old mobile phone chargers, screwdrivers, keys to things you no longer have, old mobile phones themselves that probably won't even switch on, like the old Nokias or whatever. There's probably a takeaway menu inside there. I asked you this morning, what's your drawer filled with, your bits and bobs drawer? Because in the papers this morning, there is a list, a top 20 of our bits and bobs that we keep in these drawers, including batteries, phone chargers and takeaway menus. And I wonder as well, is there anything else that is in your drawer that's on this list. So we're going to talk about that on the radio this morning. Plenty of music. Obviously, as I said from the start, Elaine isn't here. She's on the afternoon show later on for Brendan. So it's me on the air between now and 9 o'clock this morning. So we're going to rock on. We're going to have a good day, hopefully. And give us a shout. Comment here if you want us to mention you on the radio, or text or WhatsApp 083 300 3300. And I'll talk to you in a few minutes on the air. Good luck.